Heads of state from more than 50 countries will gather in Washington for the Nuclear Security Summit 2016 on March 31 and April 1. As the leaders discuss ways to secure vulnerable nuclear materials, concerns about these materials falling into the wrong hands remain high. VOA's Kokav Farsh details.
Recent terrorist attacks in European capitals by Islamic State make clear that the terrorist group can penetrate the sophisticated security apparatus of the West. While the damage caused by the Paris and Brussels attacks was enormous, the losses would be unimaginably greater if terrorists could get their hands on nuclear materials.
The problem with vulnerable nuclear material, obviously, is that they can be used to build illicit nuclear weapons. They can be used in dirty bombs, which raises a whole host of issues if they get into the hands of non-state actors. So it is a very serious threat.
Earlier this month, Iraqi officials accused Islamic State of firing rockets laced with chemicals in the city of Kirkuk, injuring close to 600 people. How likely is it that such groups can add dangerous and deadly nuclear materials to their arsenal?
It's much more likely that they're going to be able to acquire material, either nuclear or radioactive, than they will an actual weapon. And they don't need to have an actual weapon to cause significant problems for people all over the world, because an improvised nuclear device will cause significant physical damage.
Depriving terrorists of the chance to acquire these capabilities is attributed to stricter controls.
Countries are well aware of value of these materials, and so they do their best to secure them and to control them. Part of it is the non-proliferation regime that we've put in place over the past several decades, and really emphasis on how these materials can be problematic.
International efforts like the Nuclear Security Summits have greatly reduced the threat level, Can says.
We've secured more than 1,500 kilograms of highly enriched uranium and plutonium. We've had 12 new countries become free of highly enriched uranium since 2010, and we've built several new centers of excellence in various nations that work on education, training, and initiatives.
But there is a consensus that these efforts need to continue because in the wrong hands, even a small amount of radioactive or nuclear material can have devastating consequences.
The U.S. is preparing for the mosquito season and for possible outbreaks of the Zika virus. VOA's Carol Pearson reports that states along the U.S. southern coast have a lot in common with countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, a population that has never been exposed to the virus and the large numbers of the mosquitoes that can carry it.
Public health experts say Zika shouldn't be a major concern for the U.S. because of widespread use of air conditioning. But there's still an uneasy feeling in coastal areas like Houston, Texas.
Obviously, we're very concerned since we know what's happened in Brazil and in Latin America.
In a Skype interview, Dr. James Versalovic said mosquitoes that can carry the Zika virus live in the coastal communities, and their population will ramp up starting in April. Versalovic said these states need the same type of help as Latin American and Caribbean countries. Help controlling the mosquitoes, help testing both mosquitoes and people who may be infected with the Zika virus, and help in getting rid of debris like old tires and standing water. The question is, how much help can the Disease Control, the nation's public health agency, and state agencies provide? There's no question the need is urgent.
There's enough evidence now to state clearly that Zika virus is definitely associated with microcephaly, not only small heads, but underdeveloped brains, and unfortunately those babies are dealing with a lifetime of disability.
The Obama administration asked for nearly $2 billion in special funding in February, but Congress has not yet approved it, and state agencies have limited funds.
Keep in mind that after the 08-09 recession here in the United States, the crash and the recession that was experienced. Fully 20% of American public health personnel at the state and local level were let off. Their budgets were slashed and they lost their positions, and those positions have not been renewed. We're operating from a depleted capacity.
But the money has to come from somewhere because mosquito control is expensive. Testing must be in place, and public education campaigns like those in Latin America need to begin to protect pregnant women and their unborn children.